What do you know about aquatic insects? These bugs might be in your average river, even though you probably never even heard of them. This is Skott Latona, and he's also going to teach us about river anatomy and water rights. But first, we're going to go fishing in the South Platte River. Will we catch something? This biologist seems to think no, so we'll just have to prove him wrong. All this and more, only on East by West Adventures. This is Marty, who when he was called the River Hunter by his friend Tony Blue Eyes, he knew his new identity had been born. Join us while he charts a new course for his life and teaches you interesting things about the natural world. And have fun while doing it. This is East by West Adventures. If you like what you see, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It will directly support his mission and livelihood. Today, we took a trip to the Suburban Area Nature Center at the South Platte River to meet Skott Latona, a biologist who knows all about these rivers. What he showed us might surprise you. Now let's meet up with Skott to learn what kinds of critters you'll find in your average Colorado suburban river. Let's learn about the anatomy of a river. Then he'll tell us about how water rights work. But first, let's finally take a break and go river hunting.
Show the fly, because people could do the San Juan fly, San Juan worm, which is very popular.
Gone?
Yeah. Oh, shut the hook off. He took my hook right up in our good. That's a big one. That's bigger than my buddies. I don't know. I'd be, I'm not going to exaggerate, that far from the edge. That far. Just kidding. He snapped my hook off the line. The line either wasn't tight enough, which I know I did it tight, or maybe some of his teeth got it, but it's very rare. That's 1 in a million shot that you do that. But he was a fighter. He wanted off. He got off. Plus, I grabbed it by the line. Never grab it by the line. I knew better, but I didn't have my net because my videographer rushed me. Just kidding, guys. But that was fun. Now you guys know I catch fish. So let's get on to the next one. I'm gonna tie on. That was a San Juan worm, by the way, which I learned how to fish when I was 8 years old, the San Juan River. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about. You know, big quality trout, king trout, San Juan River, Navajo Dam. That's why they call it San Juan River worm. Usually they're red. They also come in brown. I've got a whole box of them right here. Let me show you guys. There it is right there. San Juan worm is what I used. That baby right there, every time kills them.
So why are the nets a bad idea?
The reason why is because they used to have nylon nets and it would scar the fish. If you notice, if you ever had a fish tank and another predator fish is in there, it's biting it, they get scars. That's what happens here. They get scarred up, they get infection, and then they die. And they float down river.
Aren't you gonna eat the fish anyways?
I never eat my fish. Not unless I'm by myself, up in the mountains. I have nothing else to eat, and it's for survival only. I'll give it a prayer, and absolutely I'll eat that thing. Because that's what God put it on here for. It's for us to eat. But right now, it's a sport. Some people like it, some people don't. It's kind of like boxing. Some people like it, some people don't. But
so what do you do with the fish?
I put it back so he grows, and that way somebody else can get him, or he has a longer life. 3 to 5 years, I would say, is probably the maximum in this river, if even that. I've seen him grow to 20 years. Those are the big fat fish in lakes. But a river like this, 3 to 5 years, I would assume, and I'm going to guess, but I could already tell 3 to 5 years. Let it live. Go on. Live life, have fun. That's my motto.
Right on, man.
Over and out. Here's another one.
My name is Skott Latona. I'm the manager at South Platte Park. I have a degree from Colorado State University in Park and Protected Area Management. I worked a couple seasons as a park ranger and have been at this park for about 26 years. I learned what I know about the river from a couple of river reconstruction projects and teaching school programs where we take the kids out here, wade around in the water, and catch all these animals for fun.
So what are we looking at here?
So this is a cobble. I've lifted off the bottom of the river and turned the bottom towards the sun. That's where you kind of find most of the animals finding shelter. And there's a lot of different species here, but they're kind of classed into big groups. So right here we've got a mayfly. And the mayflies typically have kind of 3 little prongs coming off their tail. They almost look like a little scorpion in the water. This is the nymph stage of the insect. So they will spend a lot of time, months, feeding underwater like this. And then when it comes time to become an adult, the skin basically splits open, they'll float to the surface of the water, and then the adult flies away.
That's when you see the white wings or the black wings?
They're kind of, silvery white wings,
right, okay.
And a really, really long tail.
They all come out like in a swarm, basically at the same time?
They'll hatch on the same day, so you'll see them, I've never seen them all jump up all at once, but you'll find them on the surface, and then all of a sudden you'll start to see the swarms.
How long do they live for?
It depends on the species. Some of them, the midges, don't have mouth parts, so they don't feed as adults. So one day to find a mate and lay eggs,
That's it.
They die.
Long life.
But they will have lived months in the river.
Gotcha.
So the mayflies are going to be usually big walls of insects going up and down with the river. The midges are going to be little swarms above your head and above the bushes along the sides. We also have...
I saw one squirming. It was a worm.
this little green one here.
There it is right there.
These are all baby, well, let's see. Here's a midge. So they've got kind of a reddish color to them.
Okay.
So similarly, this is the baby stage of this insect, but it goes through 4 stages. So this will actually form a pupa, similar to a chrysalis on a butterfly.
Okay.
And then when this hatches out, it looks like a mosquito, but it does not feed on blood or people or anything like that. It goes after pollen and nectar. So the midges are kind of longer and red colored. And then these little green ones are young caddisflies. And our caddisflies build these cases. So they will actually use webbing to spin the rocks together and make these little houses. And I'm gonna knock one apart here and see if there's somebody inside. Gentle, so you can see that green starting to show. This
Yeah.
one's actually maybe in a pupa already. Often when you knock that case apart, you'll actually see the whole green. Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to get him out of there. So it looks like a fat green caterpillar with a black head. And then when they hatch, they look like a moth. So their wings kind of go back behind them and they're like a dusty covering to them. And those come out at night and they'll swarm around light sources and things like that.
There he is.
That looks like probably a young caddisfly who's starting to build into its case there. We have some egg cases, so these kind of gooey things are jelly masses filled with eggs, probably for some aquatic snails. Water pennies, these are the the pupa stage of aquatic beetles. So that's actually something that's alive. It looks like just a little piece of plastic stuck to the rock. So these are not something that the fish will eat. They would eat the mayflies. If they get knocked loose from the rocks, they'd eat the caddisflies, they'd eat the midge larvae. Anytime those animals start to float to the surface of the water, that's when they'll feed. So fly fishing, a lot of times you're trying to figure out, am I using a sinking fly to replicate these when they're feeding on them when they're on the bottom? Or am I using a dry fly to replicate them when they're sitting on the surface getting ready to fly away?
Yeah, how would you know when they start coming up with things?
You'll see them on the surface. Ducks might be feeding along the surface in some of the pools, some of the more still
When the
areas.
ducks go deep, that means they get them off the bottoms.
And yeah, you can't always tell because the ducks will also go after clams and crayfish and things.
Which you have in here. 'Cause I've
Right.
seen those.
But when they're feeding on the surface, that's a good clue that things are starting to hatch.
And a leech.
Leeches will be on the bottom sides of the rocks. We do have them along the park here. It's a lot less. I can't just pick up a rock and find one.
I got one right here.
Oh, do you?
That would be what?
Yep. That looks. I could see that replicating a leech pretty well. They swim really fast.
And they're fast, okay.
So I've got a.
Black,
Okay, yeah, ours are more of the brownish color.
okay.
This is a flatworm. I've got midges all over my fingers now.
Yeah.
But the flatworms, these are segmented, these are insects. Flatworms, whole different group of animals, the annelids, the worms. So it's a smooth body, kind of just looks maybe a little bit wider at one end, and they're very slow. You'll find them, I had another rock here. Switch these out. Also, so I don't, sorry,
Almost gonna.
got your toes there. So you don't dry those critters out too fast. So lots and lots of these midge larvae everywhere. And as we were walking, I don't know if you noticed the midges swarming around our heads.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
So they've just started hatching now for the winter. So here's another flatworm. So they're real slow moving. You'll often find, 10, 12 of them on a rock together. When you find a leech, it's by itself, and it's much more active, much bigger. So here's a mayfly cruising around.
Yep, starting to move.
And then here's another one. They've kind of got the 3 little prongs behind them. We also have stoneflies in the river. Those are a little harder to find as well. They're not as common. They need better water conditions. These animals are always moving around on the rocks every time I pick them up. So even when there's ice in the water, they're moving slow, they're not eating much, but they're still there and they're still providing food for the fish.
Okay, the fish. Gotcha.
So that's
And is that anything there? No.
just a light colored piece of stone or something. So yeah, cold water, high oxygen, lots of good food source, that's where your trout are going to be happiest. As the summer gets warmer, as the oxygen levels go down, as the water temperature goes up, then trout are less able to breed, reproduce, and survive.
So in the summertime, that's why you want to fish in the morning because they're active because it's cold, in the evening because it's cold, or evening because it's just the hatching will happen in the evening.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of different reasons why morning and afternoon is better. There's different water rights systems throughout the United States. So in the east, it's the riparian system. Whoever's closest to the water has first right, and the further you are from the river, the less right you have to use that water. In Colorado, we use the Colorado Doctrine, the whole western United States does, which is first in time is first in right. That means the first person to legally claim the water for beneficial use gets to use it first. And then the next person to claim it in time gets it next. So first water right on the South Platte, I think, is around 1859, 1860. If somebody from Chatfield or calls the state water department and says, I have a 1865 right for 100 cubic feet per second, I'm placing my call, they'll release that water until his right is fully satisfied. Nobody else is allowed to pull water off the river until that person's right is satisfied, even if they're further upstream. So if you're looking for catching fish in the river, the first thing to understand is we're in a transition zone. So this is actually more of a warm water fishery than a cold water fishery. There are trout here. There are trout stocked here. The trout survive, but they don't breed here. So it's a recreational trout fishery, but you're not finding lots of trout reproducing. You have to go upstream of Chatfield for that. So a lot of these predator fish, like a boulder or a rock in the river, they use that to shelter themselves from the force of the water coming down. So they hang out behind those rocks, and then they'll move into the force of the river to go find food that's floating down to them. So in terms of the anatomy of the river, you can kind of see smooth water up ahead. That's the end of the run, where it's kind of shallow, constant flow in that area. Then where you see all the waves coming in, we call that a riffle. In the mountains, that would be a rapid. Down here, it's much smaller, so it's a riffle. And that's where the riverbed is adjusting, so it's kind of coming down a slope with a little more speed. As we come down to this area, right where that tongue is coming out of waves right here, there's going to be a little scour hole down there, so that's going to be the deepest spot there. And right along the edge, you can kind of see where the water looks like it's going upstream and downstream. That's the eddy line. And that brings us to this nice calm pool down here. And so the fish are going to hang out in the pool, they'll feed along that eddy line, and then jump out into fast water in the deeper water to find their food and then come back and rest. And then that whole process repeats. You've got a really short run and a riffle that's kind of heading to the far bank there, and then we've got another long run that goes around the corner. So from overhead, you can see those riffle lines and sort of the tongues of the V's pointing downstream to tell you where the current is.
Next week, we will explore where and how to find fish in a survival situation. Whether you're stranded in nature or it's the apocalypse, you won't want to miss this one. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more fun and educational content on the regular. East by West Adventures, signing out.
Get out of here. Look at that fighting. That's my woman. Check him out, dude.
Aren't those both the...
They're males.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're mallards. That's the female. That's a mud hen. I know my ducks. That's a mud hen. These are mallards. He wants that mud hen. He'll do whatever it takes. Usually they stay with each other pretty much all their life.